All right. Hi, everyone. We'll get started. I hope you're doing well on a Saturday. Thanks for taking the time to join all of us at the Parents and Caregivers as Partners Conference. We hope you've had a good morning so far. The session that you are at right now is called Parents as Mathematical Partners in Supporting Math Learning at Home. We know that learning is best done in partnership between educators and parents. And so we thought that it would make a lot of sense to share a little bit about what happens in school, but also more importantly, what we can all do to support one another in service of students to develop their mathematical proficiency and skills. So my name is Jason Toe. I am the coordinator of secondary mathematics and academic pathways for the Toronto District School Board. My role is primarily to work and support staff across the TDSB, not just in secondary math, but in all of our 580 schools and change. To improve programming and support math improvement aligned to our system goals. So I'm trying to jam pack a whole lot of things today. And so I apologize if it's going to go a little bit fast, but I'm going to try to slow it down, just focus on what's really important. I'd like to, before we go really into everything, and I hope that you are happily engaged, because I'm going to ask you to do a lot of math. So if you thought that you were just going to sit and listen to me talk for an hour, that's not going to happen. You are going to be doing a lot of stuff today. So, just warning you, get ready. We're going to look at a routine that occurs a lot in our schools all across the city, which is a number talk. And not only is that going to be very useful to students in the classroom, but also this is something that parents and caregivers can do at home as well. And we really hope that we have these conversations that can take place in homes, to not only develop a greater sense of mathematics, but also to see and build on students' identities as math learners themselves. Another part is digital tools that we're going to share with you a little bit in terms of what is available for you as a parent or a caregiver to not only build on what's happening in the classroom, but you might also know some of these tools that your child's teachers are using. So maybe gain a little bit more familiarity to work in partnership, or this is something that you can extend learning. So if your classroom teacher isn't actually using a tool like this, well, that's not stopping you from engaging in these tools to support learning at home. And we'll have a little Q&A at the end if you have any outstanding questions or concerns. So we have a small intimate group, which is fine. I would really like to know, though, if you are a parent of or a caregiver of a TDSB student, it would be great to know just kind of what grade they're in, so that if everybody here has children in kindergarten, then you know what, I can change this a little bit so we can just do kindergarten math. Or if we have a range, then we can adapt to that. So I kind of want to make this something that makes sense for you. So if you could, in the chat, just let me know the grade of the child or children that you care for, that we serve in our schools for you. Then just let us know, or let me know. Okay. This is kind of what I thought. All right, we've got some JKs. We've got a grade 2. We have grade 7, grade 10. So there we go. We got the whole gambit right now. All right. Grades 5 and 9. All right. Is there a grade that we haven't touched upon yet? I think 3, 4, something like that. Okay. So I'm hearing that this is quite a range, and that's great. So thank you. These are tools that you can use from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. So I hope that there'll be something for everyone. Okay. All right, 9 to 12. There we go. We've got the span. Okay. So, who is a math person? You know, like a lot of times people use that term, I'm a math person or I'm not a math person. And when there's a little game that I like to play sometimes, it's find out your mathematical name. All right. So if you are a math person, this is how you find out what you call yourself. Okay. So you ready to play? This is how we find out your mathematical name. It's your first name and your last name. Basically, every person is a math person. And when we promote that idea that everybody can do mathematics, it actually goes a very long way. Society tells us that it's okay to not be a math person. How many times do we apologize for not being able to do a calculation really quickly in our head? How often do we sometimes think that we can't do a question, and so we kind of laugh it off. There's an importance for our young people to see their adults and their parents and caregivers as math people as well. So whenever I sometimes I run into a parent and they say, "Oh, but I'm not a math person, but I really want my child to learn math and be really great at it." That's not what we want to hear. We want to hear that parents are math people as well, that are always consistently learning as well. And when students hear that everyone is a math person and a math learner, we hope that kind of attitude transfers over to students. We want everybody to feel comfortable and love mathematics. So a lot of what I'm going to share with you today really gets into the root of math proficiency. And this is just really to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of what we mean by mathematical proficiency. So these 5 strands of math proficiency were identified through research from the National Research Council in the United States. And they have identified 5 strands to mathematical proficiency. So we might think of math proficiency as just being able to, add 2 numbers really quickly in our head. There's quite a little bit more than that. Conceptual understanding is a huge part of it, of course. So that's understanding math concepts and relationships, right, between numbers and ideas. Procedural fluency is probably where you're thinking in terms of, when we think of who's really good at math, that's being able to perform a procedure that's, efficiently, flexibly, so being able to move between strategies, and also accurately as well. But there's a lot more to it than that. In terms of proficiency, we're talking about strategic competence as well. So that's about seeing a problem, creating a math problem out of something that you're seeing, representing that as a math problem, and then solving it. A lot of times we do that as adults when we go shopping. We want students to be able to do that as well. Adaptive reasoning is the ability to think logically, to reflect and explain, and to prove your argument in math. And the last one is productive disposition. So I alluded to that in the beginning, that we want students to see themselves as capable and confident math learners, to see the discipline as something that makes sense, that's sensible, and it's worthwhile to spend energy and to endeavor in. So these are 5 interrelated strands, and success doesn't happen without all 5. So we're going to be looking at a few of these in particular, but underlying all of this is that we want students to feel like that they can be mathematicians, and they are already mathematicians, and it's just a matter of us cultivating those skills and that thinking. In the Toronto District School Board, equity, anti-racism, and anti-oppression is at the heart of everything that we do, and that includes mathematics. So in the TDSB, we have a multi-year strategic plan in which we are multiple years into. And so if you're not familiar with our goals, these are just some of the goals that underpin the actions that we take to support staff, to support students. So we want to have every math classroom to be one where there is an engaging program inside it. So students are dynamic. They are speaking to one another. They are seeing mathematics as an action as opposed to a thing. And we want students to work alongside peers. I know it's a pandemic, but there are still many opportunities because learning is a social enterprise. We also want to have mathematics classes honor and value students' lived realities and experiences. So that means that students are bringing in mathematical knowledge from their home, from their culture, and we want that to be leveraged to improve learning in every single classroom. And ultimately, we are working towards dismantling academic streaming, which is the practice of separating students into distinct pathways based on perceived abilities of students. And we know that that harms particularly Indigenous and Black students, students from lower income communities, and students with special education designations for the purposes of promoting inclusion from kindergarten to grade 12. So streaming, which if you have children in high school, you may know that there are academic and applied programming. That is really the end result of streaming. We know that there are streaming structures that exist in elementary schools, namely special education programs that are now moved towards a fully inclusive program. And so that is our goal. We have identified that as a form of systemic racism and discrimination in the school system. And so we are working very actively to eliminate that. So on that note, we want to have students engaging in conversations in mathematics because we know that that's how students, that's one way that students learn and create their own mathematical knowledge. So I'm going to get you to start doing a little bit of math now. And before you blurt out the answer right away, because it's not a race, I'm going to ask you to try this one question. And when you do the question, I'd like you to share how you got the answer. And you can either do that in the chat, or we have a small enough group that if you'd like, you can unmute your mic and you can share your strategy. So I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to give everybody about 10 seconds to think about, or 15 seconds to think about what your strategy is, and then to share that with everyone. All right. So let's get some responses here. All right. So I'm seeing small numbers first, then tens. Oh, so that's interesting. So you're doing, I'm assuming you're doing the 7 and the 4. That makes 11. And then you're adding the 11 and the 50. So that's the 20 and the 30 to make 50. So then 11 plus 50 is 61. Okay. You're rounding up and down to 30. Oh, that's interesting. I'm seeing I moved 3 from the 34 to make 27 into 30, and then added 30 and 31 to make 61. Great. Okay. Oh, I see. Then you're stacking. And then, oh, interesting. So 7 and the 4, and then 1 plus 2 plus 3. Oh, I see. So there's the algorithm. I think maybe that's what's happening there. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. There's a lot of thinking here. And so you see that a problem like this, like 27 plus 34, has many, many, many strategies. And a lot of people are expressing that they are doing things like breaking numbers apart and putting them back together again, or changing numbers and then adjusting afterwards. So I'm going to just, okay, let's exit this. I think let's go here. All right. So I saw, I think Jennifer's strategy And I didn't plan Jennifer. Jennifer's my friend. But using a tool like this to help visualize the math here, let's start at 27. And I think what Jennifer did was um, took 3 and made it 30. So if we try to use this to visualize, then we can turn, so she made 30 and then jumped again to another 30 and then added 1, or just went straight to 31, but you can break that up as well. Let's go, here we go. And then so someone can see that you can break up the 34 into different parts to get to your answer of 61. That's really cool. Some people are also, let's see here. They're adding, okay, so people are stacking as well, right? Okay, so there's some algorithms. Add 2 plus 3, and then 7 plus 4. Okay, so a lot of people are adding the 7. Okay, so here we have 27, and then we have 34. So some people are taking the 7, and then they're taking the 4 to make 11. Now, one thing that we like to do is to create groups of 10, because we know that a 10 anchor is really quite powerful in helping to move students' thinking. So we have a whole bunch of 10s now. Whoops. Oh, there's way too, oh yeah. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and then the 1. So we are getting groups, and we're just, again, breaking up the numbers into their place values as well. So there are many, many, many strategies, and what we're trying to see is that there are many things that people have in common here. So I think Maria's strategy links a lot to the standard strategy, that Jason had as well. So one thing that we want students to do, and I think a lot of people are using the kind of the standard algorithm, and the standard algorithm is fantastic and it works really well. We want students to not only have that, because sometimes that's not necessarily the most efficient strategy, but if we want to develop that algorithm, we want to show how the algorithm works. And one way that is done is by picturing these and creating the groups of 10. Like I had sometimes, like if I didn't know what the algorithm was, sometimes the 1 plus 2 plus 3, it doesn't really make a whole ton of sense, because those are actually representing 10s, right? And so if we have a very strong understanding of place value, then the conversations here are a lot more robust. And so we want to create opportunities for students to learn a strategy, see another strategy, compare strategies, and see which one makes a lot of sense to them, and then grow from there. So thank you. So that's one kind of an activity that you could do at home, is when you have two, and you can come up with two numbers very strategically. Like in this example, there was an easy borrow, right, from the 34 that you can make the 27 into 30. Or you can just find real life examples, some things that just pop up, and then ask your child, like, well, what would that be, right? And how would you know that? Asking questions and finding out ideas from your child is a great way to have math conversations at home. All right, let's get back here. All right, let's get to a multiplication question. So now we're going to go a little bit into the older grades. And I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of math again. 18 times 5. I'm going to ask you again for some strategies. And if you can throw it in the chat again, that would be wonderful. If you want to unmute your mic, you can do that as well. So again, I'll give you a little bit of time, and let's take a look at the ideas of this group. All right, wonderful. Thanks for some of these strategies. These are great. I'm seeing a lot of breaking up the 18 in either a 10, a 5, and a 3, or 10 and 8. Oops. All right. So, like a cooking show, I anticipated some of these strategies. So if we have 18, then people broke it up into 10 and 8, and then, whoops, and then made 5 groups of them essentially. So here we have 10 times 5, and then we have 8 times 5, and 10 times 5 made the 50. 8 times 5 made the 40. So 50 plus 40. Whoops. Oh boy. 50 plus 40 makes 90. Awesome. Great. I think there was also another strategy where somebody did, I think it was Jason, that did a strategy that we call doubling, halving and doubling, or doubling and halving. So here we have 18 times 5. But basically what he did was he cut this in half, but then doubled the other number. And we can see that we have now a similar question of 9 times 10. So again, strategies, many strategies. And, and I think I saw again, oh yeah, that there's the algorithm here. Oh, thank you, Maria. Yeah. So sometimes, I mean, of course, the algorithm, I think, works all the time. But is it necessarily, the most efficient one? And sometimes it will be. But sometimes if you are really flexible with these numbers, like if you can see that 18 and 5, you could do the halving and the doubling, then you've made yourself a simpler question of 9 times 10. And so there are many ways that we can think about a problem like this, and we can see the different strategies, and again, making connections from one to another. So we still have, in this case, rectangles, right? And so we want to establish, what we call the area model of multiplication. This is a very powerful way of, again, supporting that idea of breaking numbers apart and putting them back together again. And this is a great visualization. You don't necessarily need to have counters. You can just create rectangles, where it says, clearly my freehand skills on a mouse isn't great, right? That we can just do something like this, right? Instead of representing it with 50 counters, you can just create a rectangle which says 10 times 5. And then that would be your 50 for this section here. So lots of strategies. If we can link them to visual modes, then we're just adding another layer of learning for students. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about how you have access to these really fancy tools, so that if you wanted to have a little bit of focus time, 5-10 minutes, with your child, sometimes once in a while when they really want to do it, then you have these types of tools at your disposal. Ian, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Hey, Jason, sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I
no
really
problem.
appreciate, obviously, your time. Just want to let you know as well that we're learning from you. What I'm just want to ask, and I don't know what what else you'll be covering, is that it sounds like there's different methods to trying to find the answers, as to your point. One of the things that I just want to share, and just perhaps looking forward to your answer perhaps during this session or later, is that our kids come home, and they come home with a way that their teacher approaches it, which is definitely not my old school way of doing it, as an example. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, but then my poor child is confused because they are just kind of looking for us to help them, guide them along. So then I take the time trying to learn the way they're learning it, but it again, old person that I am, doesn't seem to be very efficient. And then sometimes it just goes back to the fundamental, on top of each other, move one over, make sure you don't miss the lines. There's a lot of times I find that if you don't have that foundation, the decimal gets moved all over, they're lining up, things are somewhat different. So I guess my question is that's my first child. My second child now is going through it again. How do I, support them, but at the same time, learn with them at the same time? But I also hear that the policies are trying to go back to rudimentary math ways of going things versus this very 7 different ways to get to the answer. And I heard what you mentioned earlier that, trying different approaches, I think is very important because the one size fits all doesn't quite matter, or it doesn't quite work as well.
Mhm.
But I guess as a parent and going through the second time, just wondering, will you be talking a little bit about those kind of ways? And I think you started by saying, maybe there's resources and graphical ways of representing it. Again, sorry if I'm jumping ahead. Thanks.
No, not at all. The next part is going to be sharing some of the tools that you have at your disposal to learn with your child at home and to kind of build and extend on what's happening in the classroom. The what all teachers need to really go by is the curriculum expectations. And really nowhere in the expectations do they say thou must do this way or the other way. And we definitely value that there are many different ways of going about it, not because we want to necessarily kind of make math confusing, but we want to, again, one of the things about being mathematically proficient is to understand that there are multiple strategies, and some are more efficient than others in different circumstances. And so when when we have the standard algorithm, because that's something that works, essentially all the time, right? Which is, I think, kind of why a lot of people land on that one. It's really important for students to understand how some of these multiple strategies that the teacher may be eliciting in the classroom, how does that link to that algorithm? Because if a student doesn't really quite understand what they're doing with that algorithm, then what might happen is that, like you said, that decimal doesn't get moved in the right place because they don't quite get why that decimal isn't moving or is moving, for instance. So what we're hoping that teachers are able to do is to harness some of these ideas and to really, again, make the connection so students start to see, okay, that idea makes sense and is related to this one. Okay, so now I have a deeper understanding of what's happening here. And then if we want to then have that move to an algorithm, then now we have a really solid idea of what's happening. And so if your child is coming home and is doing mathematics that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to you because this is something that's new to you, I think it's important to connect with the teacher to have an understanding of, what are the common objectives here. And if your work at home can essentially achieve the same goals as the teacher, then again, working in partnership is really the best way. And that just comes with good communication. So if I was a teacher and a parent approached me with that kind of concern and was hoping to support at home, I would definitely welcome communicating with, well, how does your strategy work with the strategies that we're doing? And then let's figure that out. So I think the long and the short of it is communicate and connect with the teacher and figure out, that, my child is coming home. It's a little bit frustrating. It doesn't quite understand that. And just kind of be on the same page, I guess. Because again, it's about being partners, right? Like not one is better than the other, the parent or the teacher. It's about how do we figure things out together. Okay, so yeah, that's the best I can do. All right. We'll definitely have some more time to chat towards the end of the presentation. So if you have any other things, please, I do want to hear from you. I want to make sure that there's things that you have at your disposal that you know of, so that, if you want to continue to work with your child, especially now in this sort of digital age, that that you are aware that we have many things at your disposal. Okay. Oh. Here we go. Alrighty. So just to summarize, a number talk is a routine where a number problem or a dot problem or a picture problem is shown to a student or a group of students, allowing students to have some thinking time to come up with a strategy. And we really honor the strategies that are that students are using. So in the classroom, a teacher will elicit multiple strategies from different students. If you're working at home, maybe if you have multiple children, you have your own little sort of your home, your schoolhouse. You can ask for strategies from all of your children, to see how you can make some of those connections between these strategies. Like, oh, how does this one compare to that one? Which one makes sense? Well, are there similar ideas between two of them? And then afterwards, let's praise the effort and the thinking. Great job. You thought about this in many different ways. That's how mathematicians think. Comments like that, they go a long way. So there are many virtual tools that are available to staff and students in the Toronto District School Board. If you want to get a hold of all of them, I encourage you to use our virtual math tool page. So there's the login, or sorry, not the login, the web address. And maybe what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat as well. And it's a bit.ly so that it's easy to remember. And if you click on that, I'm sorry, you're going to need to have a TDSB login. So you're going to have to use your child's login information, because there are some things here that are proprietary and we have subscriptions and we just can't have them floating around on the internet. So we do require a TDSB login credentials. So I'm going to highlight just a few of the many that are available to staff and students and families. So the one that I was using to try to illustrate some of the concepts that you were sharing and the ideas that you were putting in the chat is called Braining Camp. Braining Camp is what we call a virtual manipulative. So manipulative is something typically physical that you can touch and move, but in a digital world, there are now, tools that do this digitally, but then it also has things that, you couldn't do otherwise. So in the GIF that's you see on the screen, things move quickly, things can break apart and be put back together, in a really dynamic way. So this is really augmenting what the physical stuff can do, to be honest. So there are benefits to having a virtual manipulative. So these are tools that we can make these really abstract ideas really concrete. Oh, if you click on, hopefully if you click on it, if you have the TDSB login credentials, it should pop up and it should look like that. So maybe a little bit later, if we need to troubleshoot with the technology, I'm happy to help. Oops, sorry, I gotta drag that back in. There we go. All right. So that's one tool that you have, and there's the only way to really access this from home is through this virtual math tool page. There is also the virtual library that would have a link as well, but we really try to push everybody to go to the virtual math tool page because that's your one-stop shop for everything math tools in the TDSB. Another tool that is really for our younger students. So kindergarten to grade 6 is a tool called Empower from our partners at TVO. There are some online games that can support conceptual understanding as well as some STEM skills. So I'm going to just take a moment to illustrate that really briefly. Oh, let's log in again. So families can just create an account. Let's see. And what you'll see is that these games are fun, they're interactive. They have taken great lengths for these games to be compliant to AODA, so accessibility rules. And you'll see that there are people represented from many different backgrounds, so that we can see that STEM skills and mathematics are really for everyone. So I think I actually have to share this. Hold on a second. Share sound. Okay, here we go.
Let's solve addition and subtraction problems at the medical clinic using a variety of strategies and tools.
All right, let's go, Doc.
Thank goodness you're here to help. We're quite busy today. Each waiting patient needs a ticket. Tap the ticket machine. I'm ready to see my first patient. Which patient has the ticket showing? One more than 9. Tap the ticket. Good thinking.
Thanks. All right. So there are many, many games on there that are freely accessible to you. So I highly encourage you to take a look at TVO Empower. Again, that is accessible either at empower.tvo.org or the TDSB virtual math tool page. Knowledge Hook is a platform that the TDSB has partnered with. It provides math activities and questions in a game-based environment for grades 1 to 10. And you can access it either through knowledgehook.com. So if, let's say your your child's teacher isn't using Knowledge Hook right now, that doesn't matter. You can register. Actually, a student can register on their own. You can support them, of course. And then if you pick a grade, then you can get right away into doing some additional questions. And it's fun. Students are collecting bots. If you could create actually a class of your own children, and they can collect bots and they can give gifts, and it's meant to be as social as you could be in a virtual space learning math. So I am going to give you a taste of that. Sure. Let's do some number sense. So hopefully you can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask. Sorry, I'm going to not share the sound. I'm going to ask you to go to joinkh.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to also put it in here. If you click on that link and just put in that class code of 340320, it's going to ask you to create or join the game. And to create an account, don't worry about it. It'll just be temporary, and you'll be kind of joining this virtual class. And so what you'll see is the activity that's going to be available. There are dozens of these that students can do on their own time. I'm going to share an activity that you can do, and staff and teachers can do with everybody. So if you have a student that is learning virtually, then this is a great activity that you could suggest to parents, or sorry, to teachers. All right. thanks for the few people that are joining so far. Once we have a decent showing, then we'll play our 3 questions. And then that way, hopefully you'll get a feeling of what this is, and hopefully see some of the benefits of using this at home as well. All right, thanks everyone. Just going to give you a few more seconds, and then we'll join our game. If you're still in the middle of joining, oh yeah, do we create an account? Yes, you can. You can make many accounts. So you're just creating a student one just for now. You can create another one as a parent down the road. There's no we're not collecting any identifying information. It's really just first name, really the last initial. So this is actually quite safe in terms of internet safety. So, all right, we're going to play. Let's play. Oh, they made this like extra dramatic. All right, so for this particular expectation, we're asking students to name and represent numbers up to 1 million, perhaps. And I always tell people, feel free to choose the incorrect answer in case you'd like to know like what a student might see if they get an incorrect answer as well. So if you should see options on your screen to choose the correct answer. So you're seeing what the teacher sees on my screen. Hopefully when you're looking at your screen, you're seeing the input page. All right. I'm just working on my teacher wait time here. All right. So for the sake of time, we're going to end the question. Thank you. Yay. All right. So this is good. So as a teacher, I can see, if you were students, a lot of people have this idea. So which statement about those 2 numbers is correct? So depending on the kinds of questions that are available, sometimes they're a little bit more visual than others. I probably should have picked one that had more visuals. But we were on the topic of number sense. So, all right. So again, for the sake of time, because I want to make sure that there's time for some question and answer, you're getting the flavor of it. All right. Hooray. Got some correct answers. And then let's do one more. Let's order them from greatest to least. So right now, the version that you are engaging in is called a game show. So this is something that a teacher can do with their students. And so everybody has an opportunity to play, whether you're in a virtual setting or whether you're in a face-to-face setting with devices. There's opportunities for students to engage in tasks like this on their own time. So those are called missions. And so as students at home, you can actually engage in as many as you want. So this is a teacher-paced activity, but then there are student-paced activities where a student can literally go through as many as they want. And you can actually then also choose tasks from a different grade level if a student is complete or feels like they want to push and challenge themselves. All right, thanks everyone. Great, hooray. So thanks for playing with me. That was, I really appreciate that. Sometimes just never know. So again, Knowledge Hook is something that every TDSB staff and student has access to, and in which case, and then families as well. So I highly encourage everybody to make use of Knowledge Hook, again, available on knowledgehook.com or the virtual math tool page. The last tool that I wanted to highlight, I believe it's the last tool, is TVO Mathify. So again, our partners at TVO are really working diligently to support math learning across Ontario. And Mathify, one of their core service is online math tutoring for students from grades 6 to 11. And they have tutors that are Ontario certified teachers. So they are qualified teachers, and they are available Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and then Sunday from 3:30 to 9 p.m. as well. So that means that actually students have access to tutors and supports during school time. So this is an expansion of their services, and they have now since moved. They used to be from grade 7 to 10, and now they're now down to grade 6 and up to grade 11. Students can access and register for TVO Mathify by using their Ontario education number. So that's different than their student number. So their Ontario education number, or OEN, you can find that on your child's report card. So you'll need that to register. So I'm just gonna play a video to have TVO explain exactly how TVO Mathify works.
Math questions becoming math problems? Build your math superpowers in real time from anywhere in Ontario, absolutely free. TVO Mathify has supported tens of thousands of grades 6 to 11 students in Ontario publicly funded schools. Work through complex math problems in class with your teacher and continue the learning at home with access to live Ontario certified teachers who will work with you one-on-one for free. This is how it works. Use the TVO Mathify interactive whiteboard to sketch out a math problem. Upload photos of existing math work on a question sent to you by your teacher, or select a question from the question bank. Then, work on it anytime. If you need support with a math question, connect with a tutor of your choice through voice chat or messaging. Our Ontario certified teachers are here to help you fully understand how to solve and work through even the toughest math problems. You can even save your completed sessions to review later on. It's that easy. That's TVO Mathify. Whether you use it in class, on your own at home, or both, think of TVO Mathify as a way to ignite your math power. Get started today at tvomathify.com.
All right, so again, I want to reiterate that this is a free service that is available to every Ontario student from grade 6 to 11. And so if you have a child that you'd like to have additional support, sometimes it's good to have a third party be involved in supporting math. Trust me, I know. Then I strongly recommend TVO Mathify. All right. And finally, if you want to get any more information, we have our TDSB Mathematics for Families website. So there is the URL, but I can put it also in the chat. TDSB Math for Families, which is there now in the chat. And when you get there, you should see this. So you have access to, again, number talks at home. So you can watch a little video about the importance of mental math and how number talks can support that, how to do a number talk at home. And then we also have some tasks here to kind of already made to support you in terms of what kinds of questions you'd like to ask your children. And we also have strategies already explained. And so what you could do is after you pose a question, like 15 times 4, you can play some of these videos and then you can ask questions like, like how is my strategy the same or different than these? And so you can start to make, more connections with different strategies as well. There are all the virtual math resources that I've mentioned. You will need a TDSB login to access the slide, the virtual math tool page. But here it explains all the other tools that are available to families, staff, and students. We also have additional math resources. So there's some literature about how you may want to best partner with your child to work on math at home. The TDSB Math Action Plan is our strategic direction with respect to math improvement. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, there is a kind of a lengthy video of me talking about it. You can also check out the PDFs as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or other members of our mathematics and numeracy team. We're here to support you every step of the way. So please don't hesitate to send an email our way. All right. So thank you again for taking a little bit of your Saturday to join me today to learn a little bit more about how we can work in partnership to support math learning for our young people. So I'm happy to take any questions at this point. If you want to go to your break a little bit early, feel free to do so. But again, thank you very much. And all the best and enjoy the rest of the Parents and Caregivers as Partners Conference.